Everything comes to him who hustles while he waits, Thomas Edison once said. But is hustling really all it takes? Is progress always deliberate? Sometimes genius arrives not by choice, but by chance. Some scientific discoveries come after painstaking and goal-oriented lab work finally yields the results that the researchers trying to find. Saccharin, the artificial sweetener in Sweet and Low, was found by a Russian chemist who forgot to wash his hands after a day of work. And many of the most incredible discoveries in the world came about when someone found something they weren't looking for in the first place. There are many discoveries that are found by pure accident. Here, we're going through the top 10 accidental discoveries that turned out to be great. Number 1. The microwave. Percy L. Spencer. Percy Spencer, an engineer at Raytheon after his World War I stint in the Navy, was known as an electronic genius. In 1945, Spencer was fiddling with a microwave-emitting magnetron used in the guts of radar arrays when he felt a strange sizzling sensation in his pants. Spencer paused and found that a chocolate bar in his pocket had started to melt. Figuring that the microwave radiation of the magnetron was to blame, or to credit as it would turn out, Spencer immediately set out to realize the culinary potential at work. The end result was the microwave oven, savior of eager snackers and single dudes worldwide, all discovered by pure accident. Number 2. Saccharin. Ira Remsen and Konstantin Fahlberg. In 1879, Ira Remsen and Konstantin Fahlberg, after some experimental chemical work in a laboratory at Johns Hopkins University, went to have a meal together. Fahlberg had neglected to wash his hands before the meal, which usually leads to a quick death for some chemists, but in this case led to him noticing an oddly sweet flavor during his meal. It was the world's first artificial sweetener that he actually tasted. The duo published their findings together, but it was only Fahlberg's name that made it onto the incredibly lucrative patent, now found in pink packets at tables everywhere. That is to say, Remsen got screwed on his discovery, where he later remarked that Fahlberg is a scoundrel. It nauseates me to hear my name mentioned in the same breath with him. I guess even their work relationship was artificial. Number 3. Slinky by Richard James. In 1943, Navy engineer Richard James was trying to figure out how to use springs to keep the sensitive instruments aboard ships from rocking themselves to death. When he knocked one of his prototypes over, instead of crashing to the floor, it gracefully sprang downward and then righted itself. So pointless, so nimble, so slinky. The spring became a goofy toy of many childhoods. That's before every kid inevitably gets theirs all twisted up and ruins it. An estimated total of 300 million Slinkies were sold worldwide since. Number 4. Play-Doh. Cut-all products. Before being found stained into the rugs of child-rearing homes everywhere, Play-Doh was ironically created to be a cleaning product. The paste was first marketed as a treatment for filthy wallpaper before the company that produced it began to go down the tubes. The discovery that saved Cut-all Products, which was headed for bankruptcy, wasn't that their wall cleaner worked particularly well, but that school children were beginning to use it to create Christmas ornaments as arts and crafts projects. By removing the compound's cleanser and adding colors and a fresh scent, Cut-all spun their wallpaper saver into one of the most ironic toys of all time and eventually brought mega success to a company headed for destruction. Sometimes you don't even know how brilliant you are until someone notices it for you. Number 5. Superglue. Harry Coover. In what must have been a very messy moment of discovery in 1942, Dr. Harry Coover of Eastman Kodak Laboratories found that a substance he created, cyclanoacrylate, was a miserable failure. It was not, to his dismay, at all suited for a new precision gun sight as he had hoped. It intriguingly stuck to everything it touched, so it was forgotten. 6 years later, while overseeing an experimental new design for airplane canopies, Coover found himself stuck in the same gooey mess with a familiar foe. Cyanoacrylate was proving as useless as ever, but this time, Coover discovered that the stuff formed an incredible strong bond without needing heat. Coover and his team tinkered with sticking various objects in their lab together and realized that they had finally stumbled upon a use for the maddening goop. Coover slapped a patent on his discovery, and in 1958, a full 16 years after he first got stuck, cyanoacrylate was being sold on shelves. They are now known as the ever-handy superglue. Number 6. Teflon. Roy Plunkett. The next time you make a frustrating-free omelet, thank chemist Roy Plunkett, who experienced immense frustration while inadvertently inventing Teflon in 1938. Plunkett had hoped to create a new variety of chlorofluorocarbons, better known as the universal despised CFCs. When he came back to check on his experiment in a refrigeration chamber, he inspected a canister that was supposed to be full of gas have all appeared to have vanished, leaving behind only a few white flakes. Plunkett was intrigued by these mysterious chemical bits and began at once to experiment with these properties. The new substance proved to be a fantastic lubricant with an extremely high melting point, perfectly at first for military gear, and now the stuff found finally applied across your non-stick cookware. Number 7. Bakelite by Leo Baekeland. In 1907, shellac was commonly used to insulate the innards of early electronics, think radios and telephones. This was fine, aside from the fact that shellac is made from Asian beetle poop and not exactly the cheapest or easiest way to insulate a wire. What Belgian chemist Leo Baekeland found instead was, get ready for a tough chemical word, polyoxybenzylmethyl glycolin hydride, the world's first synthetic plastic, commonly known as bakelite. The pioneering plastic was moldable into virtually any shape, in any color, and can hold its form against high temperature and daily wear, making it a star among manufacturers, jewelers, and industrial designers. Number 8. Pacemaker, Wilson Greatbatch. An assistant professor at the University of Buffalo thought he had ruined his project. Instead of picking a 10,000 ohm resistor out of a box to use on a heart recording prototype, Wilson Greatbatch took the 1 mega ohm variety. The resulting circuit produced a signal that sounded for 1.8 milliseconds and then paused for a second, a dead ringer for the human heart. Greatbatch soon realized that a precise current could regulate a pulse, overriding the imperfected heartbeat of the ill. Before this point, pacemakers were television-sized, cumbersome things that were temporarily attached to patients from the outside. But now the effect could be achieved with a small circuit, perfectly tucked into someone's chest without needing much electricity. Number 9. Velcro, George de Mestral. A dog invented Velcro. Alright, that's something of an exaggeration, but a dog did play an instrumental role. Swiss engineer George de Mestral was out on a hunting trip with his pooch and noticed the annoying tendency of burrs to stick to his fur and his socks. Later, looking under a microscope, Mestral observed the tiny hooks that stuck burrs to fabrics and furs. Mestral experimented for years with a variety of textiles before arriving in the newly invented nylon, though it wasn't until 2 decades later that NASA's fondness for Velcro popularized the tech. Sometimes we humans just have to look at nature for scientific inspiration. Number 10. X-rays, Wilhelm Röntgen. Okay, yes, X-rays are a phenomenon of the natural world and thus can't be created. The story of their discovery is a fascinating one of incredible chance. In 1895, German physicist Wilhelm Röntgen was performing a routine experiment involving cathode rays when he noticed that a piece of fluorescent cardboard was lighting up from across the room. A thick screen had been placed between his cathode emitter and the radiated cardboard, proving that particles of light were passing through solid objects. Amazed, Röntgen quickly found that the brilliant images could be produced with this incredible radiation, the first of this kind being a skeletal image of his wife's hand. We hope you've enjoyed this video. If you know of any other accidental discoveries that shook the scientific world, you can write them in the comment section. Make sure to also subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon to get updated when we upload more cool videos like this. I'll see you in the next video.